Hi again, welcome back to this class. Today, in this class, we are talking about something that is genuinely important, especially in a world that is full of content claiming to explain human behavior. So there is real psychology and there is pseudo-psychology, and they are not the same thing. So in this class, I'm going to show you the difference. Okay. So what is real? How do you know real psychology? Real psychology is built on empirical evidence. Its findings can be tested and replicated. And also when new evidence arrives, it updates its conclusions. It also acknowledges what it does not yet know. Okay. While pseudo-psychology, which simply means false psychology, looks credible on the surface, but it's not really credible. Okay, it looks credible on the surface, and it also makes confident claims about personality, about behavior, and all that, but it's not really based on scientific testing, and it cannot be verified, right? And even when research contradicts these claims, it does not update its claims, it carries on. Okay, so you may be wondering, what are the examples of this false psychology? So examples include palmistry, right? Palmistry, reading, I don't know, behavior, or reading the future, and predicting stuff on our palms. Okay, someone look at your palms and they go like, oh, you're like this, you're like that, you're going to have this, you're going to have that, this is why you behave in such manner, and all that stuff. And people think, oh wow, this must be psychology, because of course you have that mind. But right now, I've already told you that is not true. But before that, you had that mindset that psychology is mind reading in a way. So palmistry kind of does something like that through your palm. So you'll be thinking maybe it's part of psychology. It's not. Okay, and another one is phrenology. This is basically people trying to explain behavior, or trying to tell you personality through the shape of your skull. There was this study. It's a very old study. It's a very old study, right? So they look at the shape of your skull and they go like, oh, you might be smart, you might be this, you might be that, saying, using that, your shape of the skull to, should I say, allocate personality traits to you. All right. And then we have graphology, which is explaining behavior, or explaining personality through handwriting. All right. There is also another stuff like that out there, where there is a belief that you can know a person, you can know how they behave, you can predict what their personality traits are by studying their handwriting. Crazy, right? Crazy stuff. Okay. And then we have astrology, which is the very popular one, guys. Very popular. I don't even need to talk. Okay. This is people, explaining personality, or knowing personality. Should I say knowing personality? I'm looking for the right word to use. Okay. Or that, using this astrological knowledge as a way of making very big claims on behavior and psychology. So we already know what it is, right? knowing who you are through your star signs and all that stuff. Okay, and people actually mistake this as part of psychology, and it's not. It's not, as we have already established that fact. So why does pseudo-psychology feel so real if it's not something that should be trusted, if it's not something that is verified? Why does it feel so real? Okay, number one reason is because it uses specific sounding and confident language that sounds credible. Another reason is that it tells you about yourself, okay? And anything that tells you about yourself feels personal. All right? When something tells you almost everything about yourself, your strength, your weaknesses, your how you may behave, how you may think, and personality traits, it feels personal, okay? It feels so personal, and it feels credible to you as long as it has said what you want to hear. Okay, and number three reason is that it uses the Barnum effect. So this is where statements are carefully written. The Barnum effect is an effect that happens when a human being comes across statements that are carefully written to apply to almost everyone. Right? There are some statements that are written. So people, let me just say, people do, normal observations, and then they pick very common traits that goes across the human race. Should I use that word? Of course. And then, put it out there. So almost everybody has 1, 2, 3, 5 of these traits, or almost everybody can relate to 10, 5, 20 claims of these statements. Okay, so they are written that way so that everyone can feel seen. So that's the effect. All right, number 4 reason why pseudo-psychology feels so real is because of confirmation bias. Right, so this is basically there is this bias within the human mind. As it within you, there is this bias that goes on within every human being. Okay, when you have information that confirms your opinion about something, about yourself, about your behaviors, and so forth, when that information confirms your opinion, it feeds you that feeling that you are right. Okay, you take it very serious. All right, you take it to be real. Okay, so this is, you can see that most times when we want something, we want to be right about something, we go ahead and look for information that supports what we think or what we are saying. We don't look for information that contradicts it. Okay, we rather look for. So this is why pseudo-psychology is real, because it does that. All right, it gives you something that supports an opinion about yourself, or about your behavior, about your personality, this thing. And by the time it clicks, by the time maybe you see, maybe you act in a certain way that the claims may have predicted, it feels so right. Okay, it feels so right, and we tend to remember those periods where a pseudo-psychological claim, confirmed a particular action or behavior. right than when it was wrong. We remember it so much. You don't remember when probably something, those claims may have contradicted, you know, the opinion you have about yourself. So let me give us a real life example about this. So here is a real life example. A company uses graphology. Okay, so with this company, they want to hire some people, or they want to recruit new people, and then they decide that, okay, we're going to use graphology as an assessment of personality and behavior. All right, and I told you that graphology is basically just handwriting analysis, and they use this as part of their hiring process. Okay, so this company uses this as part of their hiring process. So they believe is that handwriting reveals personality, it reveals work ethic and leadership potential. All right, but research shows that, you see, trained graphologists, right, they perform no better than untrained students when rating personality. So someone is there, they are not even trained in assessing personality, neither behavior, right? They are not even trained. But research is saying that these people, their natural observation or their natural analysis of behavior based on their own way of analyzing behavior or assessing behavior is much more better than the trained, what do you call it, graphologists. Okay, the trained handwriting analyst. All right, so that you can imagine how this particular pseudo-psychology is so not credible. Okay, so this information has no scientific validity. So it's going to cost the company something. And what will be the cost of the company using such unscientific method of assessing behavior or of rating personality? The company would likely or mostly reject candidates based on something that does not work. So they will reject strong candidates based on something that does not work. So you are here and you're looking at handwriting as a way of rating a strong candidate for your company. My God, you might never know the person that has a handwriting that does not really, align with the work ethic, the leadership potential, according to the handwriting analysis that you are using, might actually be the person you're looking for. Okay, it's dangerous because this study hasn't been verified. It has no scientific validity, nothing. And here you are using it for a very important aspect or process of life or in your life. And I know you people don't see, and it might seem harmless. Pseudo-psychology might seem harmless, but it's not. It's not, because you are using the beliefs or the claims of these kind of psychological whatever. You're using it to rate your personality. You're using it to rate other people's personality. You're using it to assess their behavior and everything. And research says it's wrong. It has no scientific validity. So you're doing everything wrong, right? You are assessing someone wrongly. You are already rating their personality wrongly, and that can be bad for you. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. So now in this company, real people will lose real opportunities because of a belief that was never tested. All right. So psychology is not just harmless fun. Okay. After this class, I don't want you going, on like moving on. No, I want you to make sure that you are applying this. You are applying what you've learned in your life. You're going to go through, should I say, your belief system or what, and see what you have accepted as psychology, as psychological knowledge, and used it for yourself and use it for others. I want you to try and purge them out. Thank you so much. All right. And I'm here to tell you that it's not psychology. It's not real psychology. Okay. I've seen those videos. They say psychology says this, that psychology says that. All of them aren't true. Most of them are not. They are pseudo-psychology claims. Okay. Pseudo-psychological claims, I mean. All right. So, what are our key takeaways from this class? Number one, pseudo-psychology looks credible, but is not built on scientific evidence. Remember. Number two, the Barnum effect explains why vague statements feel personally meaningful. So I'm sure you had that question in mind. So why do I see these claims and I feel like, oh my God, it's talking to me? That is the Barnum effect happening. Okay, that's your answer. That's the answer to your question. Number three, in professional settings and even personal settings, okay, using pseudo-psychology can harm real people. All right. So in our next class, we are going to go specific. Okay. So we are going to stretch upon astrology and the Barnum effect, because I know that I've not really stretched upon them, and I'm stretching upon them because they are so popular. All right, they are so popular. I'm sure graphology and the other things I mentioned are not they're not that popular and all that, but so that's the two concepts we're going to stretch on in our next class. We're going to stretch on that, and we're going to know what research actually shows about this. Okay, so see you in the next class. Bye.